Looking through old family photographs of me, it is clear that I was and still am an introvert. As you can see, I was always the kid a few feet away from everyone, or just completely alone trying to observe what was happening before me. There was no doubt that I would grow up to be an introvert. But as I grew up, I started to see that I wasn't alone as an introvert, even though I always felt the need to be alone. There was an entire in-group of us, larger than I could ever have known. This man, known as Gordon Allport, is an American psychologist who studied this idea of in-groups and found that they form because of a general understanding and loyalty among members. It made sense. The people who can understand you the most are the people who think with the same mindset. So on I went, researching introverts. I found that the general conversation indicates how we perform in social and learning environments, but it fails to acknowledge the power that we have. We are seen as the weaker person without a doubt, because our society is designed for extroverts. We are misunderstood because we need the space to be alone despite our world being so focused on groups. Generally, people assume things such as that we are not as intelligent or happy because of our need for isolation. Instead, we actually thrive in our independence in small group settings because we are energized through them. But people never see this because outward expression is so uncommon for us. I have lived my entire life as an introvert, and in no way do I see it as a weakness. Instead, I have always thought of it as my greatest strength. These misconceptions of introverts come from a lack of understanding as to who introverts really are. Contrary to popular belief, we are not mute or boring, so we felt that it was our job to inform people on what an introvert actually is. Most of the conversation on introverts revolves around independence, anxiety, and happiness. Introverts strive for independence and autonomy and use it as a source of energy. People fail to see that group settings overwhelm us and exhaust us, but it does not mean that we are withdrawn or unapproachable. We face a lot more inhibitions in an attempt to avoid punishment or any negative stimuli. This anxiety is a natural part of being an introvert, and overcoming this challenge proves how strong we are. In the face of adversity, our anxiety is heightened, and it is our first instinct to find a solution, proving just how thoughtful we are. Some jump to conclusions that we are unhappy, but just because we are not as open with it does not mean it doesn't exist. I can assure you we are a happy bunch, and happiness revolves around self-satisfaction, not your introvert or extrovert personality. Socially, we are more comfortable in a small group setting, but how we come to make friends is a lot slower. As a result, we have fewer, more intimate relationships, but they are undeniably strong. The familiarity of our small friend group is the only place where we can be our complete selves. Many introverts struggle with the belief that they are not as socially equipped because they see how painless it is for extroverts in large group settings. This is something introverts have to deal with every day.
I think it's good being an introvert because you're a bit reserved and you're not really revealing much information about yourself to other people, but it can also be bad when you're in a new situation, i.e. college. When you're shy, it's hard to make friends if you're holding yourself back, so it's a little better in those situations to be out there, but it's hard to do that if you're an introvert.
A classroom is an extremely stressful place for introverts. They are so keen on group work that introverts often lose themselves in the mix. Introverts are extremely creative and passionate when it comes to writing tasks, and they would love to be able to sit in a class to just observe and think. Participation is difficult for us, and because of our lack of communication, it is often assumed that we are less intelligent because we do not contribute to the conversation. Group work in classrooms also presents a challenge. Working with people we are not comfortable with constrains us. We are great at responding to changing demands and finding solutions in groups. It is much easier to have a small group discussion because the chances that an introvert will participate are much higher. We are just as equipped or prepared for class, we just have different ways of expressing it. So, now it is my turn to talk about myself, something introverts hate to do. I guess from my social experience, the event that stands out the most to me is soccer. I never really enjoyed soccer, but year after year I kept trying out for teams. It wasn't until my freshman year of high school when I finally realized that I played because of the social security that came with it. I needed to try out for the soccer team because I was about to transition to a school where I knew next to no one, and this team would give me the head start on finding friends. It took me a while to be my complete self in front of the team, but by the end of the season, I was myself and everyone knew that I was a terrible singer. All of my initial fears were put to rest, and I learned that the right people are willing to wait for my long process of making friends. I can remember the day clearly when I was in calculus and my professor patiently waited for a response, but instead he was met with radio silence. I'd done the problem 3 times in my notebook, but I just sat there waiting. I face this in every classroom. The humiliation of the focus being on me prevents me from answering the questions. It's not so much about being right or wrong. It's just the idea that as soon as you raise your hand, the whole classroom turns to you waiting for a response, and you just freeze because of the attention. We let these inhibitions or fears prevent us from even trying, and I am not sure if it will ever get easier. But I know I'm just as valuable as the other students, even though my participation is limited. There are other ways we prove our value. Despite the challenges I might face as an introvert, I know I would never change the fact that I am one. Contrary to some of the research articles, like, would introverts be better off if they acted as extroverts? Or, why extroverts are happier than introverts? And even, are introverts more likely to be depressed? Introverts are not inferior. And people need to begin to understand this. Introverts are often overlooked, but introverts are a lot more resilient than people think. Maybe if we transform the way introverts are perceived and revolutionize the firm-rooted group society, introverts will feel more valued. The greatest tool introverts have today is social media. It has the ability to transform how introverts can perform. Social media gives us an outlet to express ourselves, and it acts as a social trainer, because we can anonymously express ourselves. We will be able to build our confidence without the intimidating features of face-to-face communication. If we take social media seriously and begin to incorporate the strong foundation it gives introverts, then we will become more confident in ourselves, which is all we can ever ask for.
My name is Garret, and I am proud to be an introvert because I believe it gives me a better ability to listen and observe situations.
Hi, my name is Mclaughlin, and I am an introvert.
Hi, my name is Harouche, and I'm an introvert.
Hi, I'm Alex Gerhardstein, and I'm an introvert.
Hi, I'm Caroline McCree, and I am an introvert. We are introverts, and our small voice matters.